Welcome to the Possibility Paradigm podcast, where we have conversations that are at the intersection of possibility, consciousness, actual experience, and energetic intelligence. The Possibility Paradigm are actually more than conversations. They're experiences that can change your tomorrows. Let's jump into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to the Possibility Paradigm with Grace Ambrook. Today the paradigm that we're shifting is around where you think that you're waiting on money, but you're actually waiting on something else. So come with me on this journey and free yourself into a new paradigm. So you're not waiting on money. You're not actually even waiting on conditions, and you're not really waiting on timing. And these are the excuses and the reasons that we all share with each other as to why we are not doing things. And the bigger truth is that what you're actually waiting for is a sense of certainty. And this is where all of those other reasons are where you trick yourself, because you think it's about the money, you think it's about the conditions, and in essence, you're completely missing that it's about you seeking some sense of certainty. The thing about certainty is that it's not something that arrives after proof. It is something that you actually choose before. So this is the development of your inner authority. Are you certain that this is the direction that you truly want to take? And we're going to explore all the things that keep you away from that clarity and that precision. So, in these sorts of circumstances, most people go to strategy as the methodology through which they can have the money, have the right conditions, but in essence, truly what you're looking for is a sense of certainty. And it's been buried in you want the proof so that you can be certain, which is actually living backwards. So, we can think that we're doing the right thing, that we're being strategic, that we're being reasonable, but that we're being responsible. We just want to make sure that, everything turns out. But the delay in that, the conscious delaying, I can only do this when that, is exhausting, for one thing. And it's common, but in the paradigm shift, what I want you to start to realize is that the delay isn't a strategy. Like delaying and deferring is not a strategy, which is what you're doing, right? When you're doing the condition, when I have enough money, when I do this. And so that's that delay and defer. But again, I'm going to take you to another layer if you're willing to come, and that is it's actually a devotion. It's a devotion to doubt. It's a devotion to needing evidence. It's a devotion to watching the external world for confirmation before you move. And it's a devotion to being a victim of your circumstance. And and it's a pretty popular energy to live in. So there's lots of people you can whinge and bitch to around how difficult it is in that paradigm, because it's your programming, it's the programming and your previous experiences that you continue to make true and valid for you. And this programming fundamentally trains humanity to look outward. Look outward for signs, look outward for confirmation, look outward for proof, look outward for validation, look outward for somebody to say, yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't you do that? And the cost may be subtle, but it's actually enormous because you become then an externally driven being instead of an internally sourced being. And so once you're aware of this, you can begin to, what's the word? I don't like to encourage people to assess themselves and check themselves all day, but I just want to highlight these things. Where are you actually very much embedded and enmeshed in the external? Like at my age, in this economy, in my position, a person like me, when you listen to that, can you see how quickly it's all very much about what you're not? So this again is abandoning your true self. And you're not good enough, you're not experienced enough, you're not wealthy enough, you're not ready enough. My goodness, you might be too selfish. And then when that's running in the background, what you do as a human is you go searching your past for evidence to confirm where you're not enough, you've never been enough, you may not ever be enough. And although it may feel true and it may feel realistic, it's a loop. And it's a loop of containment, and it will keep you locked in to your existing reality, which is the one you're saying you want to change when you have enough money, enough time, or the kids have finished school. So again, one of the things that I'd like to share with you is that certainty is not the reward at the end of proof. So you're looking for things in the wrong way. So what I've shared with you today is you're actually looking for certainty. And you're not looking for money, you're not looking for confirmation, you're actually looking for certainty. And certainty is a stance within yourself. It is a connection to your inner self, your inner resources. Is this, in inverted commas, true for you? It's a position, it's an inner expression. Well, actually, it's actually really an inner expansion. And so it's a very stabilized presence that only you can give yourself. It's not externally sourced, it's internally activated, this certainty. And it's a commitment to you, yourself, and your life without any guarantees. And you're prepared to actually do this, to take the movement, to take the actions before the evidence shows up, because the evidence will catch up, because that's actually the way the universe truly works. And so because it's always reflecting you. And sometimes there's a bit of your inner self, not, this is where the preoccupation for external validation takes you further and further and further away from the key that actually creates the reality that you say that you're choosing. So the deeper energetic mechanics, if you like, is that when you wait for certainty, when you engage with delay, what you're actually doing is reinforcing an identity. Now, in my deeper work, I don't actually work specifically with identities, but for the sake of this podcast, I want you to, or invite you to play with that identity. And because this identity is saying to you, I am someone who needs proof. I am someone who could fail. And that will be unbearable. I'm someone who requires validation, and all of those energies when you tune into them, can you feel how they contract and make you smaller and smaller? And again, I refer to Steve Jobs quite a lot in these podcasts. He didn't require proof that the iPad was going to be amazing before he continued to. Um, oh, I hate it when those things come up on on the Zoomy thing. Uh, so he wasn't looking for proof. He was following that inner certainty. And in that, he was actually creating a reality. Now, regardless of what you think of that reality, that's the true dynamic of creating something of your conscious choosing. So this small identity, this contracted identity, consumes a lot of energy and it takes you away from the truth of you. It solidifies experiences that you say you don't want because you're not enough in yourself. And um, and it's like well, one way of looking at it is that that's the hidden agenda of delay to actually keep you in even further separation from your true self. It might keep you in constant contact with your familiar self. And we all know to change, something has to change, right? And that's you. And so there's quite often people are very attached to this identification that requires proof. And that is because we've been programmed to function or malfunction that way and call it functioning or dysfunction that way. So again, this distortion can sound like, what if this doesn't work? How do I know this is the right thing to do? I don't want to put all this effort in if it's for nothing. I just want to be sure, right? So, and again, well, no, let me finish this. And many people think that they've flipped it or they've changed that when they go into, oh, I'll just change my mindset and go, well, what if this does work? And then we get into the motivation and the push, and I know this will work. And but that's just listen to this. All that is, it's polarity switching inside the same premise, inside the same pattern. You've just switched from one. It's a bit like when I was teaching people how to move out of the whole belief system paradigm. When you're in a positive belief system, you're okay. And when you're in a negative belief system, you're crappy. And what people do is they swing from one to the other to the other. It's like a pendulum. They're okay when they're in their positive belief. They're crappy when they're in their negative belief system. And again, they stay in a loop. And so this is about dynamic neutrality. There are positive belief systems, there are negative belief systems. You're aware of them all, and you keep consciously choosing from your own inner authority, not driven by the need for external validation of who you are and what you're doing is correct. So true authority doesn't actually negotiate with outcome. You're so tuned in, you're so present, you're so committed, but not attached. Plenty of people, you've been in businesses, you've had to detach from certain businesses for all the, in inverted commas, right reasons. And, in this deeper work, in the paradigm shift, that's not a failure. That always takes you somewhere. The trick there is to deal with all the judgment that you make on yourself, but all the judgment, people are very quick to judge people who have a failure in business or a failure in a marriage or a relationship. It's a tiny, tiny way of viewing things. But coming back to the polarity switching, that's all you're doing. You're just switching polarity. You're not actually moving yourself out of the loop of delay and wait because you're not actually addressing the true essence, which is shifting this paradigm that I'm doing with you today around requiring certainty before you take any action. Because again, I'm going to say to you, true authority does not negotiate with outcome. You are in it, right? There are things that you know about it, and there are a million and one things that you don't know about it. I didn't realize this, I didn't realize that, I didn't understand that if I did this, then that. And but it keeps you in, if you stay tuned in and key, non-judgmental, and in the driving seat of what you're choosing, then you are actually the authority in your own reality. And that is a paradigm shift. So, what if you stopped waiting? What if you stopped consciously or unconsciously delaying? What if you stopped looking for outward signs and confirmations? Because I can tell you, if you're listening to this, you are actually not here to follow signs. You are actually here to be a sign. You are here to be the example of what else is possible when you break out of the loops and come to truths, not hidden agendas that are sitting in the programming. So coherence precedes confirmation, not the other way around. So mostly, again, the programming wants, we want confirmation, and then we'll make ourselves match the confirmation. But this is about when you know that the certainty is an inner authority, and you allow yourself to have coherence with that certainty. Well, I can tell you, things change rapidly in ways that you never thought possible. Because we're living backwards a lot of the time, right? Waiting for confirmation, and then we'll become coherence. And this is about becoming coherent, and then the confirmation, if you require it all, shows up. Because my experience is it's normally something even greater than you thought you were creating. And that's what happens when you give up living backwards. So as we bring this to a close, you can dwell in doubt, you can maintain delay. They're as equally available to you as your own inner certainty, authority, and coherence, right? They're equally there. And that invitation is to dwell in the fields of inevitability, of inner authority, and then be amazed as you watch the field reorganize around your frequency. Not because you demand it, but because that's actually what coherence does. That is the paradigm of which you're choosing to step into that holds greater and greater possibilities. So, like just following on from listening to this, just become aware of where it is that you are still waiting. And instead of delaying it with, oh, will this work? Will this work? Change the question and shift into, who am I being right now? Because in essence, everything is bringing us back to who you are. And so when you then answer, who are you being? Choose from there. Because you are the possibility. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to jump into the possibility paradigm calendar that's available here as well. It's, if you're listening to these consistently, it's 30 days with brilliant little one-liners that will trigger some of the things that I talk about in the podcast. And then when I say trigger, I'm talking about a positive trigger. It's like, oh yes, I remember hearing that. And it will shift an energy in your field, which means that your reality will also shift with it. Thanks again for listening. See you soon. Bye for now. I hope today's episode really opened up your world and opened up your possibilities. As I would have mentioned during the episode, the possibilities calendar is available for people who subscribe. It's a simple prompt to have either on your wall, on your desk, gives you daily conscious activations, resets your energy in attunement with the possibilities that are you. It's a great energetic anchor. Simply hit the link here and sign up as a subscriber, and that will be on its way to you instantly. Thanks for listening.